Hello, and you are listening to FPcast, the official podcast for Fruitless Pursuits, where we bullshit about the week in pop culture. I'm Luke.
I'm Jacinta.
And this week we're talking about...
Movies, television, collectibles, video games, comics, books, board games, and more.
Exciting! How
Finally.
exciting! We have finally seen Jackie.
We've popped our Camelot cherries.
We have witnessed Camelot in all its cinematic glory.
After weeks and weeks, months probably, of Camelot teasing.
Yeah.
We've done it. We've seen the President Pity Party. That is Jackie.
Yes.
God, I feel like I need a, I don't know, like some clowns and balloons or something after that one.
Yeah. It was a somber affair, but we will talk about that a little bit later on.
We are. We're going to review Jackie. We said we weren't going to review Passengers, but then we got a chance to watch it, so we watched it, and we're going to talk about Passengers.
Don't worry, we didn't reward them with money.
At the end there. And we're going to talk about some trailers, and we're going to talk about your recent adventure in the news, because we weren't here last week, although people did get treated to A Book Was Better. If you didn't realise that came out, then check your feed for that. But you have been piss-farting, gallivanting across the globe while I stayed here.
5 hours kind of out of the city.
Across the globe.
I went to Singapore for a whole 3.5 days, but it was over the weekend, so obviously we couldn't record. But I returned not feeling particularly refreshed, because if anyone's been to Singapore, you know that there is a hell of a lot that you can do, and being that I was only there a couple of days, I crammed a lot of stuff into 3.5 days, and I feel dead.
A very warm, humid,
it was
claustrophobic place.
Holy shit. I'd only ever been there in September before. I'd never been there in January, and the weather forecast was saying monsoon every day, and it didn't actually rain, but it was humid as fuck.
I recommend, if you're ever going to Singapore, pack a bandolier, kind of like Chewbacca wears, but every compartment,
minifan,
moist towelette.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So if you're going to KFC or anything like that in the lead up, weigh up, do I need this now, or would it be better served on my holiday later?
Well, speaking of KFC, I didn't go to KFC, but I did sample some traditional American cuisine.
Oh, yeah.
At one of the outlet shopping stores, they had a Louisiana Popeyes chicken.
Oh.
Yeah. It was really good, actually.
I bet it would be.
Yeah.
I bet anything that is just deep fried and covered in grease and salt does taste pretty good.
Yeah. It was actually really yummy. I just had the chicken tenders, and they were fine. And I had a biscuit. I had never in my life had an American biscuit before.
Now, how did that stack up?
It was fucking delicious.
Really?
I've thought about it every day since I've left.
That surprises
so
me.
Yummy, yeah.
Because I associate them with pop culture reference here. We are a pop culture podcast. Billy Bob Thornton being absolutely mad for biscuits in Sling Blade.
Okay.
Absolutely wanted to tear some up. And when I saw what they actually were, they don't look like much.
No, it's kind of almost like a scone crossed with a cake. And this one was a butter biscuit, and it had a bit of honey glaze on the top of it. It's fucking awesome.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it was really good. Fuck you, America. The one thing you got right, biscuits.
Look, we need to maybe, especially now in Trump's America, maybe need to break down some of those barriers and try some of those things, because I would feel absolutely secure giving an American a Tim Tam, for example.
Oh, yeah.
I know they're going to just think that's the best thing they've ever tasted. For carnivore Americans, I think you would really dig a sausage roll. I would take you down to the local bakery and give you a sausage roll. And that's not a euphemism.
What about a pasty?
No, I think a pasty's getting into things like, one, it's got vegetables in it.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to like that.
Yeah.
They're going to be angry about that.
Okay, so you mean like a cheap sausage roll, not one of the like nice artisan ones from the bakery that sometimes has like carrot and stuff in it?
Oh, that's not a real sausage roll. You're not really getting like when you go to a bakery and get a sausage roll, you're not getting carrot and stuff in it. You're getting just like fucking mystery mixed up meat, flaky pastry. Tastes amazing.
Okay.
So maybe that's it. I'm happy, you know, why don't biscuits over here, some sausage rolls over there, everybody's happy. But I think you're burying the lead here because you went to an exhibition about something that's very dear to our hearts while you're in Singapore.
Yes. Well, I actually went to Singapore because it's my mum was having a milestone birthday, and so we were going for her birthday.
Happy 100th.
And it was all the stuff that she wanted to do, but she did allow me one indulgence. At the Singapore Science Centre, there was an Avengers exhibition about the science of the Avengers, and it was fucking cool!
And I've seen some photos. This was filled with props and displays and original costumes and things from the film?
Yeah, from, like, quite a few of the films, actually. There was stuff from The Dark World, and, like, Ant-Man and, like, Civil War and stuff like that as well. So that was really cool. So you sort of go into the exhibition. They recommend that you download an app because it's kind of interactive as well. And
they have an app for that?
Yeah, they do have an app for that. And you do, like, quizzes and stuff as you go along. And there's, like, a battle at the end that you use your phone for. But you go in and there's, like, a Captain America section, and they had the shield, and they had prop shields you could have photos with. They had his costume. They had his Harley Davidson motorbike, you know, the one that he like throws at the dudes in Age of Ultron.
Yes.
He's got that one. Then you go through into it's got like Bruce Banner's lab, which sucked because the Hulk's so boring and there's no costume or anything that they can give you. They just had like maquettes of his hands, so you could go, oh, Hulk has very big hands.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know if that was just a movie trick.
Yep.
Like a forced perspective thing, like they did in Lord of the Rings. But this guy's got big hands.
Yeah, he actually had quite big hands.
Well, we know what they say.
He had very thick fingers.
Crikey. Like sausage rolls.
And, in all these sections, they had, like, these big illuminated boards with all information about everyone. Obviously, the Captain America one had Peggy and everything on it.
Did the Bruce Banner section at least have a really nice banner?
No.
My favourite
really weird
pop culture banner. Can you guess what it is?
No.
When dinosaurs ruled the earth.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Nice. Then you go through from the Hulk section, which you're in for about 5 seconds because there's nothing to do. Then you go through into the Vision section, which is also nothing to do. It's just the coffin thing that he's in. He gets kind of brought to life in. That was there, and it's like, okay, cool.
The actual Paul Bettany.
Yeah, Paul Bettany
does lay inside it between movies.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, just to keep him youthful.
He's
he
not
had such a lovely
particularly
skin.
busy.
No, he's not. And then there was like the Tesseract cannon thing, you know, at the end of the Avengers movie, the thing that Black Widow breaks to, that thing was there.
She's not having a bar of that.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, great, that's fine. And then you go through into the Black Widow and Hawkeye section, which again, there was like nothing in it. It was just their costumes and their weapons and stuff. Cause, like,
that's enough. That's what I want to see.
It was very cool. I spent quite a lot of time in there. They had Widow's glow sticks and little Widow's Bite bracelet things. And they had Hawkeye's bow and his, arrows and stuff like that. And the costumes in full. That was very cool. The next bit was the Falcon, but his bit was really tiny and a bit shit. And
Did they have his wings?
No, they didn't have the wings.
That's because they're not real, right?
No, I guess so. They had his, chest plate section, but that's all. And it's like, oh, okay, great, moving on.
When everything's fake,
I know.
What can you show?
Nothing authentic. And then the Ant-Man section, which is actually really cool. I showed you the video yesterday. They had these projections on the floor of all these ants running around with arrows to kind of direct you through that part of the exhibition.
Yeah, the ants would form arrows to show you which way to go.
Yeah. And it was quite funny that even psychologically, even though you knew in your head they were fake, when they ran over your feet, you still wanted to move because they looked like real little ants. And they had his costume, and it was really actually very cool to see that mask, the helmet up close. And then...
So you got to see Paul Rudd's helmet up close?
Yeah.
Okay,
I had to ask him really politely, but yeah, I did. It was the back room.
Okay.
You go through a curtain. And
Now, is there like, I know, for example, in Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Yes.
when Harrison Ford's working with the snakes, there's a piece
Yeah.
of glass in between, so
unfortunately
it doesn't
there was.
spit in his face?
Yeah, it was a bit like that bit in Popstar with the window. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was cool. And then there was like the Thor section, Loki.
Did they have a hammer that you could try and lift, but it was like stuck to the...
Yep. Yeah, they did.
What a classic.
Yeah.
So you weren't worthy is basically what they're telling the unwashed masses.
Basically.
And the message they're taking home.
They had a villain section which was like the Chitauri and the Dark Elves and stuff, which was interesting. I showed you the photo of the Chitauri yesterday.
That's my favourite thing.
Yeah, you don't really get to see them without their masks on, but they had this full-size maquette of this Chitauri, and they have these crazy like animal faces.
Yeah, it had the helmet off. Now, I always thought that they were kind of had an exoskeleton, and I thought that their sort of ridge thing was a sort of like insect mandible mouth. Turns out that's the chin, and they do actually have humanoid mouths with teeth and little beady eyes, and they kind of look a bit like
almost like a werewolfy kind of thing.
Yeah, I was going to say like Garrus from Mass Effect, if people know that reference. So that was really interesting because it was the first thing where I've seen those designs and gone, oh, there's actually a character here, and I quite liked that. Whereas in the film, I remember always feeling that you never got to lock onto one of those things.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever a clear shot. They're just these like blurry bits of armour and stuff.
And the idea that they're all flying around and buzzing around does give you that kind of more insecty feel as opposed to like a mammal-y type thing.
But no, that photo was a revelation. And then I realised that I went and looked up the Hot Toys and realised that the commander in the Hot Toys, you can take off the helmet and see that face underneath. So, but certainly I'd never seen it in that detail before. So that for me, by crikey,
Such an eye-opener.
changed my life.
Yeah.
Look at me
Amazing.
now.
I know. So early on in 2017. All
I know,
these revelations happening.
and it's like a fog has been lifted.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. Yep.
Yeah. And throughout the exhibition, there were these little like stations where you could like interact with things. In the Captain America one, there was kind of like test your strength and test your reflexes and responses. There was like a little game where it was like a touch screen and you had to hit the enemies but not hit the civilians or whatever. And I did it, and the attendant walked over and he went, "Oh, you're the first person to get 100%. And I assumed that he meant that day, because if I was the first person to get 100% on that game, that's sad.
As you were walking away, you could hear him saying to the small child next to you,
you're
behind
the
you,
first one.
"You're the first person to get 100%. And look, you're on holiday, you're going to see an exhibition, feeling good.
Yeah.
That's worth the price of admission.
Absolutely. So you go through the Thor section. They've got Loki's full costume, which again, that was very, very cool to see up close. It's very detailed.
Tom Hiddleston's helmet.
I did.
Took a photo of that.
Yeah.
Saw that up close.
Yeah.
It's a bit curved.
It was, very interesting.
Yeah.
And then Thor's outfit and his helmet too. That was
You saw Hemsworth's helmet.
Yeah, it's got wings. He's been drinking a lot of Red Bull. And then you go through into like Tony Stark's lab, and there's a big full-size Hulkbuster and an Iron Man.
Oh, that's cool.
And what's his name? Rhodey.
War Machine.
War Machine. Yeah, there was a War Machine there too.
So that sounds to me, and I know that Singapore loves Iron Man.
They are mental Iron Man.
There's this kind of thing, like, does somebody greet you at the door to the lab and sort of go, okay, now let's just get real now. Like, you've seen all this other stuff. Now, really? This is what you're here for. Opens the door, and then it's like going into the chocolate factory for the first time, except no fat kid goes flying up a tube.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, not quite like that. You do kind of get an intro. You go into this, when you very first go in, you go into this room, and there's all these, it's just all screens, and you get an introduction and a briefing from Maria Hill. And I was like thrilled, and there's all these like little kids just going, "We don't know who this is, we don't care," and I'm like, "I love Maria Hill." And then you go through the exhibition, and at the very end, because at the start when you sign up on your little app, you have to pick a team, and obviously I picked Team Hawkeye because obviously. And then when you go to the very, very last thing, you go into a battle with Ultron, and you are the character that you've picked on your team.
Oh, how disappointing. You must have felt absolutely... What a wallflower.
No, it was fantastic.
In that battle.
It was so good. And it was me and like 3 tiny Asian boys. Like, they were maybe, like, 7 or something.
Yeah.
And one was, like, I think one was Thor, one was, like, Iron Man, and one of them was Black Widow, I think. So his dad must have picked his team for him. And we did the thing, and it's like the things, your controller is on your app. And so I was, like, pulling back to fire the arrows and whatever. And at the end of it, because obviously you defeat Ultron, there's no way that you don't defeat Ultron, this thing. The little kid next to me was going off. He was just like, yes! Ah, yes! And his mum had to come over and calm him down, and I'm just cracking up laughing. This kid was so excited that we saved the world and defeated Ultron.
Did you ever get to find out the age of Ultron?
No.
I
didn't. Well, I mean, I was shooting arrows at him. I didn't get a chance to stop and ask.
He's only a couple of days old, really, in the film, isn't he?
Oh, it'd be a couple... Wouldn't it be... It'd be like a week or so. A couple
of weeks old.
Yeah, a couple of weeks, yeah.
I don't think he's had a first birthday or anything.
Oh, well, no. Well, I shot his head off,
I think that's why people were so disappointed with the Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
fucking loved it. I love Age of Ultron. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, there's some nice moments, but there are definitely bits in that I didn't enjoy.
I like it more than the first one, I think.
No.
I think Civil War's better. And I think Civil War
War's
is an
better.
Avengers movie, really.
Yeah.
But there you go. Okay, well, that sounds like a whole lot of great stuff.
It was, yes. And I went on holidays going, like, this is a holiday for me. I'm not gonna... Like, the first time I went to Singapore, I bought presents for fucking everybody. Like, every person that I knew, I came back with something for them. And this time I was like, you know what? I'm not going to this time. If I see something that someone will particularly like, I will grab it, but I'm not going to go hunting for things. And, you did fairly well out of that.
I did very well. Very
that
spoiled
plan.
today. Got some very cool things. Very excited. A Black Widow t-shirt that, if I don't eat this year...
It is a lady shirt, so you're going to struggle.
I might be able to squeeze into that one.
Yeah.
It might be fine if I was ever doing like a sort of crop top car wash kind of
There was
scenario.
you know how when we went to the plaza, there was like a DC shop?
Yeah.
Yeah, next door to that now, in response, it's called Superheroes Galaxy or something, but it's basically a Marvel shop next door to it, which is where I bought
It's
that.
a beautiful t-shirt. And look, I've got a Squirrel Girl keyring, a Howard the Duck keyring. Like, you know me too well. Some wonderful, like, Princess Leia things. And the Singapore Merlion, which I just love. That's the big statue on Sentosa Island.
Yeah, it's a big white lion with a fish, like a fish tail. So, like a mermaid, merman, merlion.
And he's like the guardian
Yeah.
of Sentosa. And there's a pop vinyl of him, which I never even imagined. And absolutely love it to death. I love these pop vinyls where they don't really... stick to that original shape, where it is just a really nice design in a sort of vinyl that size format. It's very cool. And he's out there in the waves, got a special bass. Didn't know it existed. Absolutely thrilled. As I said, my eyes... I'm seeing things like I've never seen them before this year. 2017, for me, it's like, things that I've never dreamed of.
Yeah. Well, we're only, 15, 16 days in.
Do you know that I had 5 weeks off work? I go back on Tuesday.
No,
I go back on
really?
Tuesday.
Oh, shit.
Go back to work.
Yeah.
How rude.
I know, it's gross. I went back to work on Wednesday, and I didn't do much for those 3 days because I was just like, why am I at work? This is the worst thing.
Oh.
Actually, I had a red-eye flight back from Singapore, so I was really tired anyway. But, it's really rude having to go back and be at a place that is not home for 8 hours.
Because I'm a man of leisure at the moment. I play by my own rules, set my own time, and kind of frustrating. Anyway, let's go back to the pop culture stuff. Just a tiny bit of news. You haven't missed much while you've been away. We do have...
I did have the internet in Singapore, it's fine.
They have the internet now in Singapore.
It was
That's
good,
fantastic. Woody Harrelson. You might know him from Cheers, Natural Born Killers,
Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games quadrilogy, stretched at the end. He's officially going to be in Star Wars, which means if you've ever wanted a hot toy of Woody Harrelson or a 3/4 inch action figure or a pop vinyl, he's going to be everywhere. He's going to be not in episode 8 or 9, but in the Han Solo movie.
Interesting. He has confirmed he's going to be a baddie. He's going to be a criminal.
Well, he said a mentor to Han and a bit of a criminal. And Han really is a bit of a criminal as well. He's a bit of a rogue. He's a bit of a smuggler.
Scoundrel.
He's a scoundrel. Some would say they love him because he's a scoundrel. You know, we were in the cinema this morning watching Jackie. Our thoughts of Jackie are very fresh out of the cinema oven. And they had that ad where the people are all drinking wine.
Oh, it's like Brown Brothers or something, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're doing like
quizzes.
Like quizzes, asking each other not like
icebreakery kind of things.
Questions about, you know, what they feel and think as sort of icebreakers at this dinner party. And one of them is, what two celebrities would you want to be your parents? And
I think at a much earlier one, like last year, maybe someone had yelled out Brad and Angelina, and then they broke up. So
yeah, nightmare.
Yeah.
And I thought about this, but I don't think they necessarily have to be together. The two people. It's just two people. And I thought, although one of them's going to be quite curmudgeonly, I thought Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher would be pretty great pop culture parents. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I just feel like Harrison would be very grumpy. Very distant and wealthy.
He would be. Yes. See, that's the other thing. He wouldn't be around a lot. There'd be a lot of money there.
Yeah, he'd be around more than my real dad. So he already has been, and that was just me watching him on the screen. Anyway, so Woody Harrelson going to be a mentor. He said he's probably not going to be wearing a lot of makeup, so you know we're going to be seeing this guy.
Yeah, and you know if there was a Woody Harrelson hot toy, he would fit right in with my weird collection of secondary characters.
I think he might. Well, he might even be Han Solo's father. We don't know.
Maybe
he could be a space dad because people look. Star Wars has been about dads. And what about Han's dad? You know, where's the movie that explains that relationship? Star-Lord's getting a movie about his dad.
Oh, he is, yeah.
So,
his dad's going to be handsome. I think if they do a hot toy of him, I'll be getting him.
You're going to get that space dad?
Yeah, I'll get that space dad.
Ego the Living Planet. But talking of Star Wars casting, you had this little story that I hadn't read anywhere, and I think this is very interesting and rings true to me.
Yeah, there had been obviously some rumours about how perhaps Felicity Jones and Diego Luna were going to maybe be used going forward in kind of prequel type movies because allegedly they did have other movies on their contracts.
And it doesn't make sense in the world of franchises at the moment to sign anybody up contractually for just one film.
And there were some kind of rumours that one of them may be used in the Han Solo movie, which would, you know, make sense timeline-wise. And Diego Luna was asked on the red carpet for the Golden Globes, just kind of casually, is there any truth to this rumour that you're going to be in the Han Solo movie? And his body language changed so significantly that it made me go, oh, that's interesting. Like, he started looking down at the ground and sort of stuttering and stumbling, and he sort of just said, I can't talk about any of that. And I went, oh.
He was sweating.
That's interesting.
His eyes were darting around. He was a deer in the headlights.
He was, yeah.
You could read him like a book, and that book said,
I'm in the movie.
I'm in the movie by Diego Luna.
Yeah.
That's the cover.
I mean, it would make... I guess, you know, if they were going to slot him in somewhere, this seems like the most obvious place, because surely the kind of dives that Han Solo, the smuggler/scoundrel, would be hanging out in would be maybe similar to what a rebel spy would be hanging out in.
This is all unsubstantiated. This is just a feeling that I have, and because these movies are often about feelings, gut feelings, bad feelings, good feelings, I feel like this is probably a very recent thing. That, Rogue One's obviously been a runaway success for the studio. People have responded really well to the characters, and it probably is a cameo where they've gone, we can put you in as they might have even, turfed a character and said, well, that can be just as easily be Cassian, and we'll just tweak it. I don't know. But I have a feeling maybe it's a little bit of sort of fan service and just going, let's... and also securing those Rogue One's characters' place as sort of legacy characters, characters that are crucial to the whole thing, because we know that they're continuing to explore Saw Gerrera in Rebels, the TV series.
Yeah, he was in that prior to Rogue One though, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're continuing to do stuff, and I think there was a rumor that another character, and it may well be Cassian as well, is going to go appear in that show.
Okay, cool.
So, I mean, that's the cool thing about where that character comes in. We know he's a rebel, we know he's got a storied past, and he's done some crazy things. So, and look, I know there's always that, but the galaxy is shrinking, but you'll get a kick out. If it's a character you like, why wouldn't you want to see them
exactly.
again?
And the whole thing is about these characters, and we like these characters. We want to see these characters. We're going to be introduced to a bunch of new characters in the Han Solo movie anyway.
We can suspend our disbelief about, but the universe is really big. How would these characters keep me? Just don't worry about it.
It doesn't matter.
Don't worry about
it.
Just enjoy the character that you like.
Yeah.
Okay? Just be a fucking adult about it, is what I'm saying. Jesus Christ, I've had it with you kids. Other casting rumours is Peter Dinklage for Infinity War, the next Avengers outing.
Yeah, I first read this and I thought that it was going to... Because I don't know, for a second I forgot that the X-Men movies and the Marvel movies were separate. And I'm like, oh, why would they bring that guy back? And then he's not. He's going to be someone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
And rumours are... And this is not really... This is probably not so much rumours as fans assuming.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at the Infinity War storylines in the comics and stuff. Not that the movies have ever been slave to the comics at all. And they've said, who are the short guys? Who are the little guys in this thing? When he played X-Men, in the X-Men, that character wasn't a little guy initially. He's a good actor. They put him in.
Yeah.
And why couldn't that guy be a little guy? And kind of cool to have a little guy creating these massive robots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people are saying Pip the Troll.
I don't know about Pip the Troll. Tell me about Pip the Troll.
I don't know a lot about Pip the Troll. I know what he looks like. He looks like a little...
Troll?
Yeah, no, a little like... he's not like...
Got a large pyramid of hair, coloured hair.
No, not like one of those trolls, but he sort of looks like a little version of a fawn from Narnia or something.
Okay.
He's got bare chest, little loincloth, or sometimes he's wearing stuff. In fact, in some things he's wearing like a suit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's like, I think he's a little advisory kind of guy, or a little like in-between kind of guy. I'm just making that up, I don't know. That's what he looks like from a picture that I saw.
Okay.
So yeah. Hey, Peter Dinklage, do you want to be in the new Avengers? Because we need a little troll guy. We need a dirty, little, evil troll.
And you have to wear a loincloth.
And heads up, I'd stop showering right about now, because you're going to be a dirty, little troll. Okay?
Beep, 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 beep.
Call me back, you little bugger, if you can reach the phone. Fuck you. Hang up. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think that's the way they'll go. I don't know if, the world's crying out for Pip the Troll.
Probably not.
But who knows? Like, trolls, hey, it's part of the zeitgeist at the moment, so who knows? Could be. And trailers. Pretty light on the trailers. We watched the trailer for Chips, which is called Crisps in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
When was the last time you were excited by the phrase written and directed and starring Dax Shepard?
Ooh, never.
Okay, yeah. So that's one of the obstacles I think this film has. The other obstacle is it's like, who is this film for? Because Chips is like a 70s, early 80s thing, late 70s, early 80s TV show. I remember it as a child. I didn't love it. It was Eric Estrada.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about Chips apart from motorbikes and Eric Estrada. Like, I couldn't tell you anything about the show otherwise.
So now this is the, like, ironic remake.
They're trying to do 21 Jump Street.
With comedy, yeah. Didn't do much for me, I've got to say.
No, like, the humour is just so lowbrow. And, like, I heard someone say, there's a lot of gay panic jokes in it. But basically the whole thing is gay panic jokes about how he doesn't want his friend's dick near him. It's like, really?
Yeah, I was...
in this period, why are we doing those jokes still?
I was trying to think about this while we were watching and thinking that I guess the humour that I really like and humour that I think really works well is definitely character-based. Like you have... and premise-based. Like you have to care about a situation and a scenario, and the more that you know and love characters, the funnier things are. Like, if you look at any of those sort of big runs of sitcoms or things that be really popular, something like Seinfeld, a lot of the humour ends up being anticipation because you know those characters. characters.
Yeah.
Kramer walks into a situation and you go, I know what this guy's like, so I know this is going to be a funny thing. And when you're selling a comedy film, we don't know those characters. We don't know that, we haven't had the time with them, and we don't know the situation. So I guess they're sitting there looking and going, well, what's just funny by itself? And it's so sad when you see what is supposedly like, oh yeah, I'm watching this trailer and I'm seeing this guy, he nearly got his friend's dick in his face, so I want to pay $20 to see how that pans out, because that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, there's just nothing to it. It's the same with fucking, like, I hate the trailer for Why Him?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, and look, that girl got hit in the face with a thingy through. And I'm like, fuck, I want to pay $20 to see how that all pans out. This is hilarious.
I need context for that moment.
Yeah, you know, like, so there's nothing funny about it, really. It's pretty lame. So hopefully we won't be seeing chips. Just eating them, because...
they're delicious.
Yeah, so don't get confused when we're dissing chips here, because we love chips, like, with a bit of salt and sauce, but no, not chips, California Highway...
Something patrol, something.
Imbeciles, penis.
Sketch.
Show.
Yeah.
There we go. And the other trailer we saw couldn't be more tonally different. And probably just as divisive, really. Divisive.
Oh, either way. Divisive.
Divisive?
Yeah. Divisive?
No.
Yeah.
You devise something. Something will divide the people that see it.
Yeah.
Not literally.
Well, maybe.
Not like dividing up some frozen chips when you're going to cook them up.
Well, yes.
And I'm not talking about the California Highway International Police Squad. Yeah, this is a trailer for The Dark Knight. It's almost a dialogueless trailer, I'm pretty sure. It's all images, very haunting images, and haunting music. And it is about the Dark Knight Rises Batman shooting in the cinema. And it sort of follows the shooter and the victims throughout the course of the day leading up to the actual shooting. And I've seen it twice now, and it's a very chilling trailer. It's actually quite uncomfortable to watch. I don't know whether it's something I'd want to see or not. I've got this kind of morbid curiosity about it, but at the same time...
yeah, the trailer was really nicely done, and like, it's something I feel like I want to watch, because I feel like the storytelling will be quite interesting, but I know that the movie's going to make me feel like shit. Yeah. And do I really want to go into something that's going to make me feel like shit?
And of course, there's the ongoing argument, and I don't know if this came up with, because there's that Boston Marathon bombing movie as well, this idea of people who commit these horrific crimes then being sort of part of the pop culture. But I guess, it's history. Once it's happened, it's happened. And I think I can't imagine anybody going, oh, well, I'll throw away my life either dying in a hail of bullets from the police or rotting alone forever in a jail in order to have a movie that I probably won't even get to see made about me. I imagine the people that do these things are beyond that sort of influence. Anyway, it's an odd one. It's really haunting. I do recommend people have a look if it piques your interest, because it's a really interesting trailer. I think that there's some sort of... and it's not contextualized. We don't know how it plays out in the film. There is that kind of, someone's playing first-person shooter video games, and other people are holding a toy gun and stuff like that. No, and I'm sure that the people doing that aren't necessarily the shooter either. But it's more about the way that these things are in our lives all the time. Can I think it's more pertinent to this part of the discussion, just mention briefly the moment in Jackie that really threw me, which doesn't...
Oh, where the kid gets given a gun for his birthday?
Yeah, so the little boy, his father, JFK, has only been killed a couple of days. It's the little boy's birthday. And during the party, while Jackie's still this sort of distant ghost of a thing, opens his present. And it's sort of in the background. It's not made a big deal of at all, but he's got a cowboy hat and he's got a gun. And he's playing with this toy gun. And I almost thought for a second that the film is leading you to see Jackie see the gun and feel uncomfortable by it, or to remove it from him or something like that. But it's just completely naturalized. Now, I don't think... I think the film feels too smart and too cleverly constructed for that to not be something we're supposed to think about. But yeah, just that American thing of even after this horrific gun violence, that the child of this recently shot dead father is playing with a gun is like, you brought it on yourself, America, you fuckheads, is what I'm trying to say.
Are we meant to be doing like nice cultural exchange stuff with America?
Oh yeah, that's food though.
Oh, okay.
Not guns.
Okay.
God.
I thought maybe
Wouldn't it be happy if it was
the
all
cultural
biscuits
exchange
and
would be just like being nice to them?
Sausage rolls
bit
and not
more.
like shooting each other in the face.
Well, yeah.
Well, here's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Like, remember Twilight came out?
Yeah, I do remember Twilight.
I used the word zeitgeist before. And then, vampires, suddenly everybody's like, oh, we just can't stop thinking about vampires. Everyone's thinking about vampires. People are dressing up as vampires. Do you think Jackie, which is getting a lot of Oscar buzz for both Natalie Portman and the film, I believe there's an AI out there that predicts the winners of the Best Picture, probably through complex algorithms that are far beyond our ken. Do you think that it'll get everybody just like thinking, and the new fad will be presidential assassination? Do you think we're entering a time when a lot of people will be thinking about, and role-playing, cosplaying, presidential assassination?
Well, really, one can only hope.
And there's a lot of stuff out there. But yeah, I don't know. Just something that's kind of
just throwing it out to the universe.
Thought, yeah. Those movies where people always say, like, if you could go back in time and kill Hitler, would you do it? Yeah. Wonder if something like that would become a fad.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
Interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That's all nonsense.
But maybe, in a couple of years when everyone's participating in the Purge, maybe, you will get the opportunity to do that anyway.
Pretty sure Trump's purged. Don't you reckon? Like, he just strikes me as someone that...
Oh, yeah. Like, all those rich people in the Purge movie, that is just Trump.
Yeah.
Absolutely to a T.
He's purged before. Should we talk about Jackie?
Sure.
Okay. This is one of those interesting things because we didn't canvass each other for our opinions after on the way out. I think when we're about to record so soon afterwards, it's probably best to do it on the show. So tell me what you thought.
I really liked it, actually. It's a really nice little snapshot of... about 2 weeks, the period of about 2 weeks after the assassination of JFK.
Yeah, I think it might even be a week. Okay. I thought, which seems like a lot is packed into that week.
Yeah, it's framed through an interview that she's doing with a reporter, and it does kind of flash backwards to moments that happened as she's talking about them with him. Yeah,
but not in a very always obvious way either. Like, not a... I remember the time when, and then we're seeing it. It's quite...
it's very organic. It just flows really
done,
nicely.
And you always know where you are, even though it's certainly not linear at all. Like, it goes back and forth through time quite constantly. It's a very beautiful, dreamlike film, and very much closest I've seen in a while to a one-person film. Everybody else is really supporting her.
Yep.
Nobody has a big chunk of anything to do other than Natalie Portman. People sort of brush in and come in and out, but she's definitely the focal.
Yeah, she really does shoulder the load of this entire movie.
And she was excellent too. I really thought it was a sort of great, powerful role, and I'm sure that it's the sort of thing that she's always looking for. And interesting as well to see it was produced by Aronofsky.
Yeah.
So she must be very grateful to him. And not so grateful to Danny McBride.
Oh, Your Highness.
Or George Lucas. But,
Yeah, it was really nice. I guess, well, not nice. It was quite a somber movie, but a nice little kind of exploration of grief and reaction to grief and loss and...
Legacy.
Legacy is the big thing. And I must admit, like, we've been making fun of the Cam Alert thing for about, 6 months or something, but I was worried that was going to be a big thing and I was going to have problems taking the movie seriously if she was saying Cam Alert every 5 seconds. She doesn't.
No.
It's loaded at the end. She says it quite a bit at the end, but for most of the movie it's just not even a thing. I'm like, oh, thank God, I can just enjoy this movie.
I got to admit, going into the film quite ignorant of what the film was really like the scope of it.
Yeah.
I didn't read anything about it beyond that trailer, so I don't really remember the trailer very well either. So I didn't know if it was going to be about her whole life or...
I knew the time period that it was.
Yeah, so I didn't realise it was basically a week, and it's such an interesting perspective, like, and an interesting story to tell, where the presidents are quite literally in the periphery. You notice even when, in the very few times that JFK's in the film...
the camera cuts away from him very quickly.
He's always to the side. He really is something that you almost, like the aforementioned Chitauri, that you don't get a clean lock on. I don't know if he's wearing a mask or not.
Yeah, we don't know.
Well, we did see a bit of his head removed at one point. But
I spent a lot of that movie thinking that they were really sidestepping that money shot for a lot of it. But you get it.
Yeah.
You do get it at the end.
So, yeah, it is very, very dour. Like, I think it's such a wonderfully made film, such a beautiful performance, really haunting images. I love the music, that really discordant sort of thing that keeps happening.
Yeah.
But there's no relief from it. Like, there's not a lot of light and shade. I think there was this point which sort of dawned on me, we're really just getting this, like, poor shell of a woman's grief for this entire film. And obviously, like, I think that was the right thing to do. That's the story that was being told. But there was a point where I'm just like, what's the payoff of this for me? I don't know. I was just like constantly waiting. Where's this going to go? Where's this going to take us? How is this going to illuminate us? How's this? And I do think it wraps up in a nice way. And I do think the messages in it are quite strong. But yeah, it was too sort of, I wouldn't say harrowing. It's not like a film like something like Dancer in the Dark, where I'm just like, oh fuck, and I'm just a broken person at the end. Yeah, this is a point where it's just so unrelenting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I kind of liked it in the way that obviously there was a lot of challenges and a lot of things for her to deal with, but I liked seeing how she tackled them.
Yeah.
She's a very strong character, incredibly strong woman, and just the way that she kind of navigated all of that stuff, even though it was very dour and harrowing, I got a lot out of watching her navigate that.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think you're 100% right, and I think the way that her progression through that and
the questions that she's asking, they're just really like, oh yeah. Like where she's speaking to the priest and, you know, how do you get through this and all of that kind of thing. I'm just like, oh, I just love that discussion about, you know, just grief. Like there is this woman that's in the public eye, and I guess there's a lot of, not a lot of crossover, but if you're watching something like The Crown, where Elizabeth's having to kind of deal with the death of her father and still do all these things and, you know, be in a world that's not really necessarily a woman's world and kind of having to tackle all that stuff.
And in her case as well, being just suddenly completely sort of misplaced.
And just being punted out of the White House with her kids and bye, and off you go.
Like not having that link to this world anymore, and just that being over in a second. No, a really interesting film. Obviously it's you know, if we're speaking to a pretty broad pop culture genre audience, that's not going to be for everybody, but
it's a really nicely made movie, and I can absolutely see why it's in the Oscars race.
Yeah, and it didn't drag for me at all. It actually, when it finished, I was like, oh shit, really? Like I was sitting down preparing myself for the long haul beforehand, and it actually got there quite quickly. How many stars then? Tricky straight after.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tempted to. I would go 4. I think I was very engaged by it, and Natalie Portman was really excellent. There's some wonderful imagery in that. There's a scene where she's washing blood off her face that is just like,
oh, that was harrowing.
Yeah.
And also I love the. It's an interesting device, but the intercutting of real footage throughout the storytelling. So you might see actual footage of never of the people, but like of the motorcade or something that, and then it goes into Natalie Portman inside the car, and there's an obvious change in film stock. It's an interesting device because it works in two ways. In one part, I was suddenly aware of the sort of artifice of the Natalie Portman stuff, and how you're going from reality to this sort of more pretend thing. But at the same time, when I'm watching something like that, my initial reaction afterwards would be to look up stuff anyway and sort of see what it looked like in real life, and to be able to sort of have somebody doing that for me throughout the movie as it was happening kind of legitimized everything as well. They've really done their research. These kids are wearing what these kids are wearing, and this is what this street scene looks like, and this is the feeling that was there. Even just to see that real motorcade and see the like in the funeral procession and see the people lining the streets, but to see how far those people went back. Like, it's a big turnout, but it's not this...
It's not deep.
Yeah, if it was a CGI shot or something, you can imagine they would have just packed that with people.
Yeah.
They would have just gone cut, paste, and just filled that whole thing up. But the fact that you can see, there's like 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows of people or whatever, but then there's empty street behind. Like, just things like that put me in that time and place a lot stronger than if it was all created. So I admired that. So yeah, I think you're dead on. I reckon 4 stars as well. It's not something I would be in a hurry to see again. It's not going to be a favourite, but I love craft, and there's a lot of craft in that film. It's
There's a whole peanut butter jar worth of craft.
Oh yeah. I just love to see storytelling through images as well. Like, there's not enough of that. There's so many movies that just don't bother with that at all. And when you get those really sort of powerful images, that's why I like a film like, and I know there are people that just go, oh, it's boring, pretentious wank, I don't like it, but something like Lost in Translation. Just her in the car looking out the window and lolling against the window and stuff. It gives me that feeling of travel and lethargy and that sort of seeing things for the first time, like, there's something really authentic about that, and you're not going to get that in The Return of Xander Cage, I don't think.
Well, I mean, we haven't seen it, so we don't know.
We don't know for sure, but
it may really authentically capture the feeling of riding a motorbike underwater. You just don't know.
Surfing on a motorbike could do. Shall we talk about Passengers? I'm tempted to do a spoiler Passengers talk.
Well, I mean, we kind of did anyway.
I know, but I want to go just another level deeper. So should we do that right at the very end?
Oh, yeah, I suppose you better do it at the end.
Yeah.
Though I think that most people are
I 100% agree with you, but then I think that because they would be in the same position that we kind of were, and I have that feeling that you're not going to go and see it at the cinema, and I don't recommend you see it at the cinema, but later on it might be on Netflix or something, and you might go, oh, well, I'll watch this, and then go, oh, but those fuckers told me how it ended, and maybe now I don't want to.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure.
The only other thing I wanted to mention anyway was just that I watched the first episode of Series of Unfortunate Events on Netflix. I'm too old to have read the books. They came out when I was an adult, but and I've seen the Jim Carrey film. I don't remember much, but I just fucking love what Netflix is doing. It's just again another thing where you watch it. It's film quality. It's beautiful production values, beautiful direction. It's actually, that first episode is directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, Men in Black, and the Kevin Spacey Inside a Cat movie. Patrick Warburton is Lemony Snicket and narrates throughout, and it's just really nicely crafted, and I think you're either going to respond to that kind of humour and that kind of writing or not. I did laugh at certain lines and things. I thought I'm still coming to terms with what Neil Patrick Harris is doing. I think he's very good. I think there's going to be comparisons to Carey, and the characters look very similar, obviously, as well. But he's very good in the role. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really impressed that, one of the kids is a baby, and they're using the baby, a real baby, in shots all the time. And I just think, how many fucking takes must you have to do just because the baby does the wrong thing? The baby is acting the shit out of it at the moment.
Yeah, right.
And just as a little tease, like the sort of things they're doing with this. So Patrick Warburton as Lemony Snicket, very straight-faced, doing a lot of the narration, a lot of filling in. So when he's talking about their family house burning down, which shouldn't be a spoiler, we know that that's what happens. he's in his underground lair kind of thing where he talks to us a lot. He goes up through a manhole and then you see a rug in the room of the big house and the rug rises up with him underneath it. Then he sort of slips out from the rug, stands there, straight face, looking in the camera, telling us about as the fire starts to spread behind him and burn around him. And it's just so nicely put together.
Yeah, cool.
So I've only seen the first one. There's 8 episodes, which covers 4 books. Each book is a 2-part 2 episodes. So I'm really enjoying it. So I will continue to watch that. So if you don't want to be spoiled on Passengers, and it's not much beyond what you already know, because to be honest, that whole movie is in the trailer, then leave now. But thanks everyone for listening. Make sure you got The Book Was Better as well if that's a show that you listen to. Can't say that it returned to tremendous fanfare, but there you go. I think the Stranger did comment though, and that was great. We got a new Patreon subscriber as well, so
yes,
thank you very much for that as well. We appreciate that immensely. That's always exciting. And go to Fruitless Pursuits to see what we're doing. That has links to our Facebook discussion groups, to iTunes, to Patreon, all that stuff. It is there. So, Passengers.
I think it's going to be, going forward, or even just this year, a very interesting kind of yardstick for people. Like, I think it's going to split people very much into 2 camps. There's people who are either, oh, that's a little bit icky, I don't know about that, or, oh, it was great, it's not a problem, it was fine. And I think that's really a marker of whether people understand their privilege or not. You know what I mean?
I feel like I'm in a third camp. I've got an issue with this movie, whereas spoilers henceforth. The issue for me mainly is that it's bland. Like, it's an incredibly bland film. If you've seen the trailer, that is the film, mostly. Like, we revealed before that he chooses to, like, he awakens, his pod malfunctions, gets a sad beard, he wanders around for a year by himself.
The sad beard was amazing.
Great bit of spirit gum.
I saw he had on his Instagram the other day, like, a video of him having it put on. It's so gross.
And then he releases her, they start a romance, they're getting along, then he reveals what he's done. Yeah. She's angry, she doesn't like him, but then the ship has trouble. He ends up saving everybody because he's an engineer, and then they're happy again. And that's pretty much the film. Yeah. So I want to say in the film, one thing to the film's defense, I think
it never makes light of the fact that he wakes her up.
Yeah, and I think when we talked about it initially before seeing the film, that we were talking, there was the sense that was quite naturalised. Yeah. And I don't think it is. Like, that is the central dilemma until the ship starts going haywire. Yeah. This idea that I shouldn't do this thing. I have done it. I've done a bad thing. Yeah. And now she's going to hate me. And she does hate him once she finds out. So, it is an issue that they've explored. What I think undercuts that, though, and where it becomes a problem, because as I said many times, I don't have a problem with bad characters doing bad things or characters being flawed or whatever. As long as you feel like it's coming from the character. But the problem I have is the writer's hand is far too obvious throughout this thing. Like, her being called Aurora, that's her actual name in the thing. Yeah. The Sleeping Beauty. That's this meta thing that's happening outside of those 2 characters' lives. Oh, but she's the Sleeping Beauty. That's the writer sticking his dick up against the screen and doing a big squashed rat when I'm trying to watch the movie. And it's those sorts of things that really bug me about it, because then it becomes the writer going, oh, but she's so beautiful, as opposed to these characters having this thing. The reason I called for spoilers is because of the third character. So Lawrence Fishburne enters. He wakes up as well as the ship's malfunctioning. Is he the captain? I'm
not sure if he's the captain. He's one of the
crew.
Yeah.
He's one of the crew. And he sort of helps as they...
He pushes the white people on their journey and then departs.
Yeah. And that, again, that for me is like the Aurora thing. That's the meta thing that is happening outside of these characters. Because suddenly you've got this third wheel, this black man, older black man, who comes in, and the movie kills him off to return, after he does what he needs to do, the movie kills him off in order to return these 2 to having no other option except for the 2 young, good-looking white people to continue their romance. And again, that's this like invisible god hand of the film coming in and fucking with things. And I don't think that's the more interesting story. Like, I almost wanted it to be like, well, I mean, isn't that, like, if it wasn't about, like, white people and their little romance, isn't that more interesting that this guy frees this woman thinking, I'm going to be alone with her. But then this older black man who's got authority and experience and everything turns up, and it's like, well, no, you don't get to live your little fantasy of just the two of you. There's three of us now.
Yeah.
And with three of us that has to survive.
There's actually a movie that I watched a couple of years ago called Z for Zachariah, which is Margot Robbie, I think it's Chiwetel Ejiofor and
Well done.
Chris Pine. I know, I've been practicing. And there's been some nuclear thing, but she lives in a valley where it's kind of like not as bad or whatever. And Chiwetel turns up, and there's like this little haven with this beautiful woman, and he's like, oh great, we're like the last people left on earth, we're gonna hook up and everything. And then after a while, Chris Pine shows up, and he's like, oh shit, there's a white guy here now. And it's just a really quite interesting dynamic. I quite enjoyed it. It wasn't a very widely spoken about movie, I don't think.
I was like, I almost want to see, you know, Pratt sort of living his days kind of building and fixing and doing things and looking across, and there's Jennifer and Lawrence and their like little halvesies children running around, and you know, like, why not? But the movie almost sweeps him under the rug because he's an inconvenience. He doesn't fit that narrative of, you came to see the movie about Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence together. So he comes in and sort of does his plot catalyst things and then neatly disappears so they can go back to it. So, yeah, I think, you know, you could have played it a lot of different ways. I know you talked about different ideas and things of what could have happened with this movie, but it doesn't go anywhere. And I think if you're seeing the trailer and thinking, oh, I like those two stars, I'm kind of interested to see where this movie goes and what they do with that premise. You've already seen what they do with that premise. There's really nothing...
And there's not a huge amount of chemistry or anything with them, really. It's just not...
And no really like memorable set pieces or anything. So yeah, you've seen it. Like, you've seen the movie already, which is why I almost feel comfortable spoiling, because the trailer is the movie.
And there's sort of an uncomfortable bit at the end where the movie tries to redeem Chris Pratt's character, because there's like a medical pod or something, and one person could go in it and go back to sleep, and he says, well, you go back to sleep, basically, and she's like, no, I love you, I want to stay. And then it's like, oh, well, that's gross. Yeah. Ugh. Don't, like, he did a shit thing. Any amount of trying to redeem him is just going to be a bit yuck.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's one of those things where you sort of, you look at the premise and because I remember we were excited about it initially when you first heard about it, before a trailer or anything, where you go, oh, this is an interesting premise, you know, Chris Pratt and a great cast. So you've got Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence, they wake up on the ship, they're not supposed to. What's going to happen? Like, what are they going to do with this story? And, you know, because it seems like a narrative dead end. Like, what are your options? And then you watch it and you go, oh, well, it is kind of a narrative dead end. There's not really anything for them to do. Whereas...
well, they can play Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all they did.
Whereas... you know, the only other sort of narrative paint into a corner that I can think of like that is going, let's write a book / then a movie about a guy on a boat with a tiger. But that worked out. That, you know, that went somewhere. They were, you know, but this doesn't have the third act island of man-eating plants. So, yeah, it was a bit bum.
It was a little bit bum.
Yeah, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
As professional. It was a bit bottom.
Yeah,
so,
I think it was the first movie I watched this year, and it was not a good start.
No.
Not a good start.
No. So I wouldn't waste your time on that, really, unless you...
don't really like yourself, or you have completely run out of everything else to watch.
Or if you just do have such a huge boner for the cast. I understand that there are certain things that, like, people will just watch because they've got...
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, Chris Pratt looked good. Like, I was helped through by that, but, yeah. Nah.
You're better off watching their press interviews.
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
And him, I think my favourite one that I watched, which didn't go so well for Jennifer Lawrence, was when she was talking about, you know how she had that whole thing where she, like, sat on some sculpture in Hawaii or something, and she was retelling the story on Graham Norton, and she was just being so gross and flippant, and wasn't this a funny thing that I did? And it was just kind of her telling it was just so gross and awkward. When Chris Pratt looked so uncomfortable, like he looked like he wanted to say something but he couldn't. And he's like fidgeting with his hands, he's like wringing his hands and looking at the ground, and I'm just like, oh, you poor thing. You have to spend so much time with her.
My favourite was when they had the insult battle and he just goes, why did they call it joy?
I was actually surprised how well she didn't quite get him, but she held her own better than I thought she would.
For a little bit.
Unless all her shit was scripted and his stuff was improv.
She's friends with Schumer.
Her.
Alright, well, that's your lot.
Yep.
I had other TV stuff I could talk about, but it's been an hour. Fuck it, I'll save it for a time when we don't have much else.
Yeah.
So...
do it.
Stick that in your pipes and tell all your friends about it. Thanks again for listening. And now more than ever,
Kia
come
ora.
on.